The Age of Metternich was a time, in European history 1815 to 1848, when Prince Klemens von Metternich of Austria had a big influence. After Napoleon waste, Metternich helped lead the Congress of Vienna, where leaders worked to bring peace and order back to Europe. He wanted to keep kings in power and stop revolutions. Metternich believed in Strongton and was against democratic change. During this time, many countries were controlled by monarchs, and free speech was limited. He used secret police and censorship to people from speaking out. Even though he tried top change, people still fought for freedom and rights. In 1848, revolutions broke out across Europe, and Metternich was forced to resign and flee Austria. Ferenczel of 1848 were a series of uprisings that happened in many European countries. People were angry about unfair governments, poor living conditions, and the lack of rights. In France, the people forced the king to leave and created a new republic. In Germany and Italy, people demanded unity and freedom, but their revolutions were not successful. In Austria, students and workers protested, and Prince Metternich had to flee the country. Britain and Russia were exempt from these revolutions, as resigns were in Apos, scared of the harsh punishments done by the government, and the British government was already listening and making changes. Many revolutionaries wanted more rights, such as voting and freedom of speech. Some also wanted better jobs and more food, because life was very hard for the poor. Although most of the revolution showed that people were ready for change, these events helped inspire future moves for democracy and freedom in Europe. The Crimean War took place from 1853 to 1856 and was fought between Russia and an alliance of Britain, France, the Ottoman Empire, and Sardinia. The war started because Russia wanted to grant land that was part of the weakening Ottoman Monia Franco-Prussian War west between France and Prussia from 1870 to 1871. Prussia was the most powerful German state and wanted to unite all German states into one country. France, led by Emperor Napoleon III, did not want a stronger man next to it. The war started after a disagreement between two countries, and Prussia used it as an excuse to go to war. Prussia had a strong army and quickly defeated the French. Napoleon was captured, and the French government collapsed. After the war, Germany was officially united and became a powerful empire. France had to give up land and pay a lot of money to Germany. The war changed the balance of power in Europe even further than Germany, strongest country on the continent. European countries did not want Russia to grow stronger, so they joined the fight against it. Most of the fighting happened on the Crimean Peninsula, near the Black Sea. The war was known for its terrible conditions, with many soldiers dying from disease and cold. One famous nurse, Florence Nightingale, helped improve medical care for wounded soldiers during this time. The Crimean War also showed how important technology, like railroads and telegraphs, had become in war. In the end, Russia lost the war and had to give up some land. The war changed the balance of power in Europeans, showed that old empires were starting to weaken. The Franco and ended in 1918. It began after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary. Many countries joined the war because they had alliances with each other. The main sides were the Allies, including Britain, France, and Russia, and the Central Powers, including Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Much of the fighting took place in trenches, where soldiers lived in hardened, dangerous conditions, which dragged out the war. New weapons like machine guns, tanks, and poison gas made the war very deadly. Millions of people died, including both soldiers and civilians. The war ended when Germany surrendered, an Apache treaty called the Treaty of Versailles was signed. World War I changed the world and led to big changes in many countries, including the start of World War I. Years later, the Russian Revolution happened in 1917 and changed the country forever. People were unhappy with the way the king, called the Tsar, was ruling. Tsar Nicholas II was not helping the poor, and Russia was losing badly in World War I. Many people were starving and wanted a better life. In the first part of the revolution, the Tsar gave up his throne and a temporary government took over. Later that year, a group called the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, took control. They wanted to create a communist country where everyone was equal. The Bolsheviks killed the Tsar and his family and took over the government. This revolution led to the creation of the Soviet Union and changed Russia into communist nation. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919. To officially end World War I, it was written by the Allies, mainly Britain, France, and the United States. Germany was blamed for starting the war and had to accept full responsibility. The treaty made Germany pay a lot of money in reparations to other countries. It also took away land from Germany and limited the size of its army. Many Germans were angry and felt the treaty was too harsh. The treaty also created the League of Nations, a group meant to keep peace in the world. Some countries, like the United States, didn't join the League. The Treaty of Versailles Spumslam, that later led to World War I. After World War I, the United States had a time of fast economic growth known as the Roaring Twenties. Many people bought stocks, which are shares in companies, hoping to get rich quickly. Some even borrowed money to buy more stocks. At first, the stock market kept going up, and people thought it would never fall. But in October 1929, the stock market suddenly crashed. Prices dropped very fast, and people lost a lot of money. Banks failed, businesses closed, and millions of people lost their jobs. This event helped start the Great Depression, a time of great economies around the world. World War restarted in 1939 and ended in 1945. It began when Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland. Like WW1, soon, many countries joined the war, including Britain, France, the Soviet Union, and the United States. The war was fought in many places around the world, including Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Hitler wanted to take over other countries and spread his ideas, including hatred against Jewish people. Millions of people died in the war, including many innocent civilians. One of the worst parts was the Holocaust, when millions of Jews were killed in concentration camps. The war ended when the Allies defeated Germany and Japan. After World War II, the world changed greatly, and the United Nations was created to help keep peace. The Cold War was a period of tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. After World War II, both countries had different ideas. America supported democracy, while the Soviet Union supported EDCOM. They did not fight directly in a big war, but they competed in many ways, including building weapons and gaining allies. One major part of the Cold War was the space race. It began when the Soviet Union launched the first satellite, called Sputnik, in 1957. This surprised United States and then work harder to catch up. In 1969, the US won a big victory by landing the first man on the moon. The Cold War lasted 4 decades and finally ended in 1991, when the Soviet Union broke apart.
This has been a European History Semester to Top 10 Events. Subscribe and make sure to smash that like button for more.